Good evening, everyone. I'm going to do something a little different today. I'm going to share a reading that a client wants me to do. And he wants to find out how to go within yourself, to heal others. One of the main things you cannot have is fear. But how do you get rid of fear? How do you set fear aside? The main way of doing it is to simply allow yourself to journey well first. Go to places that are beautiful and happy and make you feel really awesome. Like go to your favorite beach, go to a mountain, go to prairies, go to a field of flowers, a lake, rainbows and butterflies, whatever you need to do when you explore that area. You go through every detail of that area with all your senses. If you can't see, then use your feelings. If you can't feel, then use your touch, use your smell. Anything that, any sense that you have, you implement that. So the more senses you have, the better it is that you're doing. And you can allow yourself to explore that. Call upon your guides. Ask your guides to come to where you're at. Or go through a doorway with intentions that you're going to your guides. This type of practice is very basic, but it's essential before you go deep within yourself. Because when you go into yourself, you're going to confront some of the most darkest things you will basically come across. And if you're doing that in other people, you have to be prepared to not have the fear, because fear would allow things to connect to you that you don't want to connect to. Nothing can connect to you unless you're afraid, and that fear attracts the things to you, and that itself creates fear. And that's one of the things you cannot do. If you're not prepared to go within yourself, you're going to attract things to yourself, which is yourself, believe it or not. Most of the time, the things that scare us the most is ourselves and a part of our souls that we haven't dealt with in a very long time. It scares the crap out of us. So in order to truly be prepared, you have to journey well. You have to get access to talking to your guides, to feel comfortable working with your guides. Then you move into the part about going into your dark parts of yourself. That's if you're journeying to them. Now, the simple way of doing it is to allow yourself to fill yourself with light. And that light has the intention of going into the dark parts of yourself, and you attach you always allow the energy to go into your heart, expand that outwards, and then into the dark parts of yourself. And so you could sit there and just concentrate, sending light into the darkest parts of yourself with that intention to heal it. Now, going into the stubborn aspects of yourself, the parts that are really, really, really hard to heal, the things that you have to journey into, is going to take time. You need to have patience. You need to be able to develop your skills. And you need to have things that make you feel comfortable. Because a crystal, for instance, crystals, I have lots of crystals nearby, and like tons of them that you don't see. These are not, like, they're there to make you feel comfortable. Like they're aspects of things that people can use in many different reasons, in many different ways. And you don't have to be fancy. You can simply just be things like that. It doesn't have to be amazing. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It just has to make you feel comfortable. And before I went into dark parts myself, I was asked to make this. So I designed this before I went into the dark parts myself. I actually found a tree going up a mountain. Halfway up the mountain, I found a dead tree, and it was a walking stick. It had two roots, and so it was like about, just a long that you could use it as a walking stick. But it was meant for me as well, because I use that to break energy, to light my way through things. This is way, way early on when I was just starting to learn how to journey. So they prepared me to go into myself. It's important to not just do it yourself, that when you journey, you're surrounded by energy, by spirits, by ancestors, by spirit guides, by angels and archangels, whatever you feel that you need to go on that journey. It could be Jesus Christ, it could be Buddha, it could be Muhammad, it could be anybody that makes you feel at peace with yourself. And at any point in time, if you feel afraid, you can call upon them to help you. It's not a cop-out. It's not one of those things that you have to feel ashamed of. You need these energies around you to feel safe, because when you feel fear is when things attach itself to you. It can get in you, and it can be very difficult to get them back out again. I don't want to make anybody afraid, but I don't want to sugarcoat it either, because this is not easy to be able to do this if you're not prepared. You will see hell spaces. What you consider hell, you will see hell. You will see yourself doing things that it would just like an awful nightmare. But it's okay, because that's what you need to be prepared for. You need to see aspects of your soul, because your souls are all very old. People think that, oh, I'm an ancient soul or I'm an old soul, and there's only a few of us. There's many, 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 many souls, and most of them are very old. Some are older than others. Some have done more than others. But all souls on this earth are old. And I think that's important for you to understand, that you're not alone. You're not like the master of the universe. Even if they tell you you are, that's testing your ego. You are no better than anyone else. I'm no better than anyone else. And you need to have that attitude. However, you are also an unlimited energy source. And you have complete control over every aspect of your soul. So nobody or nothing can hurt you and hurt your soul unless you believe it can. And that is one of the most important beliefs that you have to have. When you're going into the dark parts of yourself, you should be able to phase out of everything so nothing can touch you, but you can touch everything if you want to. Visualize energy passing through you. If something runs at you, visualize it going through you. You have to have control over your journey, over yourself, over your soul when you're doing things like this. And you need to be patient with yourself. You're not going to learn to do this in one day. It could take years, and usually does take years, to be able to do this. And when people first dive into doing this type of work, it's essential that you bring as many senses into the journey state as possible to develop yourself. Your guides will guide you and show you how to develop your gifts, not John's gifts or Sarah's gifts, but your gifts, because you are your own master. And you are the master of your soul. And your gifts are yours. They might be similar to other people, but they are uniquely yours. And that's what I try to do to people, is to try to get them to see their potential, their gifts, their parts of the soul, their way of healing, the way of journeying. It is your style that you have forgotten. And you need to remember. So I'm going to go into the person's energy field. I see a man sitting on the side of a cliff, and below him there's rows of energy that are flowing, and he's looking down at that energy, and his feet are kind of going back and forth, It's a beautiful day. And he's contemplating whether or not he wants to jump down off the mountain down into this energy. The energy opens up and a big swirl of darkness appears, and he brings his feet up and he looks towards the sun and he looks down towards the darkness, and he feels the hair in the back of his neck coming up. So he steps away from the cliff. He wants to jump into the darkness, but there's something that's stopping him from doing it. I see mirrors appear around him, and he sees himself reflecting back. And there's one mirror that's upside down and is pitch black. There was a version of himself that is upside down with energy flowing from it. And the rest are looking at this mirror and then look back at him and look back at the man that's upside down in the mirror, which is himself. There's a glowing figure that appears beside you and holds your back, puts a hand on your back, and he takes your left hand and he holds it with both his hands and he says, "It's not time." He looks at me and he asks me to go into the mirror. And he takes this version, he takes him back away from the mirrors, back into the cliff, back into where he had his feet dangled over. And the spirit sits beside him and is speaking to him. And the spirit snaps his fingers, and all of a sudden everything turns back into a beautiful sunny day in a beautiful valley. And he says sometimes patience is one of the most important things to learn. And this part stays with him and is speaking to him and asks him to come talk to him, to come to him so he can teach him how to go into the darkness. I walk over to the mirror and I go into the mirror, and it spins so. When I go in this way, it spins and I turn in a spiral. And I could stay in that spiral for a very, very, very long time. But there's parts of the spiral that you can go off. Or you can follow the spiral downward and stay in that spiral for a very, very, very long time. You can stay in the spiral forever if you wish. Or you can exit anywhere you want. But when you go to exit the spiral, there is one wall after another wall after another wall. It's designed to create fear within yourself, panic. I have no way out. That's what it's saying. I have no way out. I'm trapped. I'm stuck inside this mirror. I'm never going to get out. This is what the energy wants you to believe. But there is no infinite spiral. There is no mirrors. And I put my fists in the ground and shatter the mirror. And it shatters all the glass around me. And there's a being standing in front of me, dripping with tar. Standing there and tar dripping from his body. I walk up to him. And he goes to put his hand into my heart, but I walk through him. This is confusing for him. He doesn't understand why he cannot touch me. And I reach out and I touch his heart. And I pull his heart out, and it is black tar. And I show him, I breathe light into the heart, and all the black tar burns away, and it turns into black coal, and I crush the coal, and there's a bright light within my hand. And I say, is this what you're looking for? And the soul looks at it and goes, it's almost like he's almost about to cry, and he falls to his knees. And I give him the bright light within my hand. His hands shake, and when I touch the hands, he turns into a young man, looks to be maybe 16, 17. So a late teenager, almost a man. And he's looking at himself. He looks at his arms. They're all full of blood, and blood drips down onto the floor. He has a mirror in front of him, looking at himself. And he's sitting in the chair looking into the mirror, and the blood drips onto the floor. There is one light beside him that just barely lights himself. It is a candle that's almost burnt out. And the room goes black as the knife falls onto the floor and the man dies. A part of his soul is trapped within a mirror. A large part of his soul is trapped within the mirror. There's a struggle within himself. There's a part of his soul that wants to come apart. There's a struggle. The man that is in the mirror is holding on to that. And a small piece of light falls, or it's kind of like tore out of the soul. As the soul goes upward, it glows really bright and burns him, and he closes his eyes, and he gets just a tiny piece of the soul in his hand. And he places it within his heart. But he forgot about that moment. It happened a very long time ago. Now he looks at his heart, this piece of his heart, this piece of his soul, and he begs, he cries that this part comes back to him. I take him by the hand and I show him the man in the room that had killed himself, and he's devastated, and he starts to scream, "What have I done? What did I do?" And I bring him back in time before this all happens. And he's sitting in a room with a knife. And I say, go into this man and show him what is about to come. It will help you to heal, to remember. This dark part of himself goes into the man, and he shows what happens. He shows how the souls get tore apart, and this part of his soul gets trapped in this mirror, in this dark place, never able to escape. Trapped here, alone, never able to leave. Doesn't remember how to get out or how he even got here. I put my hand on the man's shoulder and I send light through into his heart, and his heart glows bright, and this dark part of himself comes out. And the dark part of himself goes on his hands and knees and begs the man to rethink what he's about to do. The man stands up and he cries and holds the dark part of himself and says he is sorry, that he will never do something like this. After he felt the torment of this man, the torment of yourself, The man stands up and takes this dark part of himself, and he asks God to set them free, both of them, from this memory. And the light part of himself opens the doorway and shines down upon both of these parts of himself. And both parts walk into the light. The energy flows around both of them, and they merge into this one man. He reappears standing at the doorway. The mirror is flickering, or the candle is flickering as he turns and looks into what he was about to do. He shuts the door. He goes to his wife and his kids, and he says that he needs help. He says what he was about to do. And he has many friends, and his family and his children help him through this hard time in his life. And he lives till he's old and dies as happily as he could. He lived a good life because he understood the consequences of decisions, consequences of one's actions, the understanding of how the soul works in ways that he never thought before. He shared this with many people. Most did not believe him, but some did. And to this day, their children and their children, till you come to modern day, this has been passed down, this story with this message, and have saved many lives. Sometimes you don't realize our actions. Sometimes you don't realize the consequences of one's thoughts, of one's actions, until it's too late, until we're trapped in a never-ending nightmare of our own creation. I go to the cliff where the man and the spirit are sitting. I sit beside the man, and I tell him what I seen down in the darkness in the mirror. The man's crying. He holds a ring, a golden ring from that lifetime. He puts it around his neck to remember that there's parts of ourselves that are trapped within the dark, that are screaming for our help but have no way of knowing how to get out. Lives that we created, actions that we have done. This is the first step into understanding and not criticizing, not condemning. When you see these parts of yourself trapped in these places, they are not demons. They are parts of yourself that are lost, that are crying out for help. Even though they could do horrific things in the energy world, all you have to do is go back to the memory, change the energy around it, and all the energy after that will fall and be transformed into balance once again. But not all energy can be so easily transformed. Sometimes you need help, and energy needs to be moved to a place so it can finally heal. And it can take many, 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 many lifetimes before that can happen. But that is okay, because once you enter that energy into a space, and I usually use cubes to do it in, these cubes are infinite spaces of learning, teaching, growing. And when the soul is able to finally break itself free, it can then finally come back into the light and be rebalanced and reborn again. And that is, and as well, is also okay. Don't be afraid of your demons. All you have to do is help them remember who they were and why they became that way. That's one of the most important aspects of doing this type of work, is to understand that very important thing. What we consider demons a lot of the times is our broken parts of ourselves. There is demons. You'll know. And this part is also important to know, is that when you meet yourself, you might not instantly know it's you, but you will very quickly, and sometimes a little longer than you would like. You will be able to identify that energy, because sometimes that energy is so twisted, it takes time. And the best way to understand the energy is to go into its heart, or her heart. And just because it's female doesn't mean it's not part of you either. You will know energy by the essence of it, the vibration of it. So as soon as you see it, you either know it or you don't. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but before you realize what it is. But that is also part of the learning. The more you do this, the more you understand, the quicker you will identify whether or not it's good or bad, or yourself or someone else. So the name of energy is the essence and vibration of it. So your name is the energy and vibration of your soul. So names don't matter, because as soon as your energy enters a room, I could be blinded and I would still know it's you. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could use this in the everyday physical world? That we could identify people by their energy. We can. We just forgotten how. Doing this type of work will help develop that part of yourself. Will help develop your skills and understanding of energy. And why names are very, very limiting. A lot of people, and even including myself, spent many years trying to find out who and what your true name is. And it was funny because this is just a quick story. I spent a long time trying to, because they said my name was in the box, and every time I opened the box up, it was empty. There was nothing in it. And I was thinking, well, maybe I cannot see it. And I tried and I tried and I tried, and I realized that you don't have a true name. Your soul's energy is your true name. It's what that you give off is your true name. Because how can you put a name onto an infinite amount of knowledge and understanding? That's what you get when you meet souls in the spirit realm. You know who they are. And you do get names, don't get me wrong, but that's names that you have used in past lifetimes for them. Or just names that you have put on them. But names are not necessary. If Michael comes in the room, Archangel Michael, I could have my eyes closed in the spirit realm and I know exactly who it is. And that's, people always are asking, well, how do you know if it's good? How do you know if it's evil? How do you know it's this? How do you know it's that? There's absolutely no mistaking the energy. Some energies will try to hide who they are or try to hide the true essence, but when you study it and you go into the heart of the person or the thing, you will know what it is. But 99% of the time you know instantly if it's good or evil. Evil is very evil. Evil is a very loose word. Negative energy. Because does evil truly exist? If every part of a human soul does every aspect of what is possible every time they reincarnate on this earth. There is dark aspects of your soul. It's up to you to bring those into balance. It's up to you to bring everything into balance. There's a lot of information there. To really learn how to journey, you must, it has to be a one-on-one experience. You have to be able to have that one-on-one experience with someone, because you have to learn to pull that parts of themselves out, to bring them forward. And that's the fun part. To watch people grow, watch people learn, watch people understand things. Because when you go down this path, when you go down into the path of journeying, into going within yourself, you will discover things that are extraordinary. But the one thing you do not do, and this is, again, I say a lot of very important things because they are important. You are no better than anyone else. As soon as you believe you are, you take the risk of ego taking over and you let in a lot of stuff you shouldn't. Allowing your guides to help you, to get you to grow, to help you bring those parts of yourself out is also very important. If you go down that road alone, you might run into aspects of yourself that are very difficult to handle. However, if your guides are there, they will guide you to where you need to be, to where you need to go, and where you go, and when you go, and what you are experiencing. Your active imagination is the gateway and is your third eye. When you close your eyes and you dream, it's your third eye. I always like to experiment. If you are really good at visualization, you will be able to pick up journeying very easily. When you're in a state and you visualize and you close your eyes, and everything will go dark. That is, you're actively using your third eye. It's allowing the energies to flow. Allowing the energies to flow without thinking what to do next. If you see a flower, though, you can go over to the flower because the flower appears for you to explore it. Why else is it there? You will see a beautiful scene. If, say, for instance, you go to a beach and you're on a beach and you see a shiny object, go to the shiny object, explore it, pick it up, look at it. Your soul knows what it wants to do. When you go into a journey state, you can explore the beach, you can open a doorway with the intention of going somewhere. Intention is also extremely important. When you journey, you should have an intention. It's that simply, I want to speak to my guides. That's an intention. If you don't know what your guides are, you can't exactly say, oh, I want to talk to this specific guide, because you don't even know what they are. If you do, you can go to that specific guide. You can go to Jesus Christ. You can go over with the intention of going to that individual. You go to that energy. You go to that person. Everything has energy. Everything that is created has energy. And that's why it's so important to be specific. Because if you're not, you might not go to where you want to go. And if you, especially with clients, and this is the thing I say to people all the time, be specific in what you want. Because if you're not specific, I'm going to go where you say I'm going to go. And if you're lying to me, there's still energy there, and I'm going to go to that. So there's no trick here. If I want to go into this rock, I will go into this rock. And there will be energy in that rock. And there will be a message in that rock. Because that's what you want it to do. Everything is connected to the source. Everything is made up of atoms. Everything is made up of energy. So when you go into an energy with an intention, it's connected to everything. And I know I had a friend of mine that was journeying into books. And I know this is off topic a bit, but that book has energy. The characters in the book have energy. And you can go into all these characters because the person who wrote it put their energy into it. And the idea of that character has consciousness because you created that consciousness. And everybody that read the book puts consciousness into the book. So that character does exist in energy. And you will be able to go to that and get a message from that consciousness of that energy that was created from every single person and the author who wrote the book. This is what you're getting into when you're getting into journeying. And that's why it's so important that you are no better than anyone else, because everything is connected and everyone is everyone. But everybody is also unique. Thank you very much. And if you wish to do a journey with me, you can go to my website at almondrossawakening.com. I am offering mentoring sessions now, which is one-on-one training with people. There is limited space for that because there's only so many people I can work with at one time. That is the best way to learn how to journey. It's the best way to me to work with you to try to find the best way that you have forgotten how to journey. Or if you're good at journeying, it's a way that I can teach you to expand that knowledge. If you're just beginning, it's the same thing. If you haven't never done it before, it's going to take some time. You cannot learn to do journeying in one session. You can learn something, and then you need to practice. And you practice, and sometimes you can pick it up, and bang, you're off and running. Please make sure you work with your guides first. Your guides could be anything. Remember that. Be specific. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.